Welcome back to the Convo Couch, fam. Can you hear us? Can you not
Can't
hear?
hear you.
Something's wrong.
Can't hear you. Let me see.
I can't hear you either. Let me see. Sorry, guys. This is weird.
Weird.
Got it. Can you hear me now, fam?
Hello?
I can hear you. You can hear me now? Yes, that was my
This is
fault.
weird.
No, it's okay. Can you hear me?
Can
you hear me?
I'll be back. Give me 1 second.
All right. Gotcha. Can the audience hear me? Let's try that. Dude, there are gremlins. Can you hear me, guys? We hear both of you. Okay, so Fee needs to adjust her settings. Did you guys hear the music coming in? Was it hot? Was it awesome? All right, so that was that. All right, so everybody can hear me good on that on YouTube. Everybody can hear me on Rockfin. Guys, welcome back to the show. Thank you so much. I hear you, Pasta, loud and clear. There's Fred Edwards hanging out. You guys already love in the cookie jar. I mean, you guys just spoil me. I love you guys. What am I going to do without you guys? Any word, what would I do without you? Fred Edward, these are all the cool people hanging out on Rockfin, guys. If you haven't gone to the Rockfin, do us a favor and go over there, right? Game.film, thank you for the super great contribution, is always appreciated on the couch. Here is Fiorella. You can hear me, right?
I'm not hearing you.
It's
I don't know why. It's not on my end.
I hit the settings.
I don't.
Go into the settings again. And
everything's on.
The settings from the StreamYard, because the audience hears both of us. And if you go into settings and you go into audio, the second one, the speaker. Yeah.
Nope.
You got to put the speaker on your earpieces. Can you hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
It's not working.
Bam. It's weird. Hear both. So you can hear us both, right? Still can hear us? Kill the robot, bring dancing dolphins back. I got you. I hear you, Pasta and Fee. That's everybody hanging on Rockfin. Now, listen, guys, we want you to go to Rockfin. David Crow, what's going on, bro? David Crow's hanging out in Rockfin. The reason why Rockfin is so important is, number one, it doesn't play any advertising whatsoever. So all the evil freaking people out there that are participating in this arenas and these areas, when they go to Rockfin, they are completely free from advertising. And what does that mean? That means that we don't get paid and told what to do, right? So that's one of the most important things out there, because that's the problem. Advertisement kills everything. Who sponsors all the mainstream media? Pfizer, right? All these other companies, all these other big pharma companies, they're the ones. So they have a big say in what a person can say and what they cannot say. And that is so important. So please go over to Rockfin, ROKFIN. It's our free speech platform. It's so important. If you want to watch us over on Rumble, that's cool too as well. Let's see how many people we got hanging out in the Rumble right now. 16 people watching. That is awesome, guys. The Rumble channel has been growing. So if you want to watch us on Rumble, please do so. And then, of course, on there's 28 people. What's up, Fred? Tallulah May. Good to see you, Tallulah May. And there are 98, almost 100 watching on YouTube's. All right, fam. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
I can hear you too.
Yeah, the thumbnail didn't come out on Twitter, but
didn't come out on Twitter?
No.
I don't know why. Somebody call Elon Musk. Get him on the horn, fam. Enough is enough. Let's get rolling. We got a big show for you guys today. We got some breaking news. It's so funny, fam, because it's breaking news to a lot of people, but it's news to some of us we've already known for such a long time. And our good friends over at the World Socialist website, fam.
Yeah, I looked at a bunch of sources and I thought their review was the most comprehensive. They're not the first ones to report on it, but it had a better comprehensive view. So that's why I chose that.
See, MSNBC not biased, guys. She plays it straight. She plays it right. Good job, fam.
Yeah, they talk. I argue with them all the time. Not a Trotskyist fan.
Fam, You have
Just
to
put it
slip
out
that
there.
in there. So go ahead. Pentagon
Of course, I
confirms.
had to let it slip.
Hmm.
Okay, yeah. So Russia has been talking about this for months here. Like I think I've mentioned it. I mean, I'm sure other people have mentioned it, but RT's been talking about this forever because this is very well known that they have these troops. They have also mercenaries that are English speaking, Western, from the UK, from Canada, from the United States, from Australia, because they got the Five Eyes. But the United States is saying, "Oh, these people aren't armed. They're armed, but they're just doing like conducting protection." This is how they frame everything, right? "Oh, we just our biolabs here are just researching. They're not really doing anything." Well, they use the same excuse here. So if you just scroll down, I'm just going to point out a couple things.
Sure.
So the Pentagon confirmed the deployment of active duty military personnel in Ukraine. Just scroll up a little bit. Uh, this was U.S. Air Force Brigade General Pat Ryder acknowledged during an official briefing yesterday that active U.S. Military personnel are not only deployed inside of Ukraine, but are operating far away from the U.S. Embassy in Kiev. The day before, an unnamed U.S. Department of Defense official said at background briefing that U.S. personnel had resumed on site inspections to assess weapon stocks in Ukraine. So they're saying that this is what they're doing. But notice, we're going to watch the video. Notice how he's going to answer the questions. And I think it's best if we just literally watch the video so you guys can see, because he doesn't really, of course, like all US government officials, they can they confirm it. They're like, yes, we have troops there, but no, they're not doing anything. But yes, like three people ask like the same question because they're not getting a clear answer, and you'll see how like fumbled he gets. And the reason this is important is because I think them admitting this is their way of saying, yes, we admit this, sort of, but they're not admitting the full scope. They're saying this isn't an escalation. It is an escalation. It's been an escalation. Russia says we are fighting the collective West. They are fighting the collective West.
Mhm.
They're not, this isn't, them fighting Ukraine. This is them fighting Ukraine being held up in puppet strings by NATO, the EU, the United States, Canada, Australia,
Yeah.
all of their allies. That's what this is. This is an escalation. It has been an escalation, but now everybody knows like what we knew already. It's kind of like the DHS article that came out on The Intercept. I was on RBN yesterday, and me and Misty were both like, yeah, we've all been talking about this. This is not a big story.
At all.
Okay, great that it's on an article. But first of all, it's not a big story. Two, why is The Intercept showing you this now? How does The Intercept only get these documents when they are horrible to their sources? Literally, Misty was like, fuck The Intercept.
Yeah.
If you're a whistleblower, don't go there, right? So it's the same thing here. There's a reason why they're telling you this. They're not telling you the whole thing. So just be
Yeah.
mindful of what they're not telling you. Go ahead, Pasta.
Yeah. Well, number one about that article, yes. And I didn't even know you were on RBN yesterday. I'm gonna go back to that, watch that with you and my homegirl. What's up, Misty? I said free Assange, Misty, in the middle of my solutions panel in a room full of MAGA people as I was giving them election stuff. And one guy right in the front row went, "Yeah." He gave me a free Assange, so it was awesome. Thank you so much. And that is an old story, just like this is an old story, right? So that's an old story. Like the people like us who got demonetized and suppressed for this same information that they're coming forth with now,
Yeah.
they get to make a living off it. Good for them.
Yeah.
And yet, while we're still here, and you guys are getting blinded by Elon Musk doling out your freedom of speech. You know what I'm saying, and not having a nuanced approach to what's going on. Some of us have been reporting that old news, and it was that old news. Am I glad it was on Tucker and Lee Fang went on there and did that stuff? But yeah, of course I am. But it is controlled information. It is old news. And digressing to this story right here, this is old news. We knew this a long time ago. We pointed it out, but this does also point out something else that's really important. It shows you on paper, finance wise, people, those who are fiscally responsible or just fiscally curious, that the Ukrainian army is being held up, like you said, on puppet strings. It's all been destroyed. So now who's coming in to fill the spot with all this money going there for this scam? NATO troops. That's what's going on. So this should paint a bigger picture now that it's now completely out in the open. There is no Ukrainian army and military to hold up. And it's only just a matter of time now what we see what's happening. And a lot of things just was that the gloves came off after Crimea, right? After that whole situation with the continuing bombing with these territories, the gloves are off. So, I mean, we're just wasting money at this point. And what are we doing? We're using the Ukrainians, fighting to the last Ukrainian. It's a sad situation. And people really need to be screaming from the top of their lungs to end this war. Shame on all those freaking progressives, Bernie Sanders, all of them. They should be publicly flogged like, it's shame in Game of Thrones. It is awful what they're doing, fam.
Like Cersei.
Progressive, yes. I'm going to mute myself up and put this video up, guys. Let's take a look at it.
13 minutes, fam.
So the military has personnel inside of Ukraine who are doing weapons inspections now. I'm wondering what the rules of engagement for those personnel are, if they're fired on by the Russians or if they're targeted by the Russians.
Yeah. So as mentioned, we do have small teams that are comprised of embassy personnel that are conducting some inspections of security assistance delivery at a variety of locations. And again, this is part of a broader effort of the U.S. government to track U.S. provided capabilities and to prevent the illicit spread throughout Eastern Europe. Again, I will highlight up front, we have no indication that there has been any type of illicit spread. The capabilities that we provided to the Ukrainians are being used effectively on the battlefield. In terms of personnel that are conducting these inspections, my understanding is they would be well far away from any type of frontline actions. We are relying on the Ukrainians to do that. We're relying on other partners to do that. Essentially, that would not be the case for U.S. personnel. So again, that is something that will continue to ensure the safety and the welfare of our folks that are doing this. But the point being, they're not going to be operating on the front lines.
So up until this point, there haven't been any U.S. troops inside of Ukraine, and now we do have U.S. troops inside of Ukraine.
Well, that's not. We've had U.S. forces serving at the embassy as part of the defense attaché office, which is where these guys are assigned. So we've been very clear. There are no combat forces in Ukraine, no U.S. forces conducting combat operations in Ukraine. These are personnel that are assigned to conduct security cooperation and assistance as part of the defense attaché office.
Right, but this would be different because they'd be working outside of the U.S. Embassy. I'm just wondering if people should read this as an escalation and U.S. involvement in the war.
No. This is just responsible management of the capabilities that we're providing to the Ukrainians. And as I mentioned, the Ukrainians are working very closely with us to provide insight and tracking of those capabilities in places where it's not safe for U.S. personnel to go. Thank you.
If I can just follow up on that, can you clarify, are there U.S. troops, like U.S. Marine security forces, protecting the embassy personnel who is doing the inspections?
We have U.S. Marines at the embassy doing normal U.S. Marine type guard duties. But my understanding is that, to your point, these are not combat squads that are going out. These are personnel that are going out in areas where they're not going to be in harm's way to conduct these types of inspections. Again, to put this into context, if you've got capabilities that are at a logistics node being tracked before they go into country, then when they come into country and they're delivered to the Ukrainians, and then they are at their own logistics nodes tracking those and then dispersed out to the front lines, our folks are not going to be on the front lines.
Right, but are there Marine security guards going with the embassy teams that are conducting
To my
these
knowledge, no.
inspections?
But we'll check on that and come back to you. Jim.
General, just on my own calculations, the Ukrainians on near.
Okay, so
Pam, can I do something really quick? This is for General Pat Ryder. This is on your whole bullshit speech. Ooh, sorry, General Ryder, but nobody's believing in your bullshit. Go ahead, fam.
Well, so you saw, okay, yes, there are the troops that are by the embassy doing regular what did you say, like Navy stuff. They're just doing regular stuff. And then he's like, the guy's like, yeah, but this is different because now they're going to be outside the embassy. And he's like, yeah, but they're just, pretty much conducting regular things and getting all the logistics ready. And then the Ukrainians are on their own. Okay, yes, but is this an escalation? No, it's not an escalation. So, are there any actual military accompanying the Ukrainians? Not to my knowledge, but I'm not sure. I'll get back to you on that. So, which is it? And do you guys believe that there's no armed military US troops with the Ukrainians? I've seen that, like, literally there's videos of them. Sure, you can call them mercenaries, but there's been NATO troops on there for a while beside the idiots that sign up to go fight for Ukraine. There's been actual NATO troops, and who's to say they're literally kept within the lines of whatever. The United States does not respect this. The
No.
United States is literally, this is why Russia has been, I mean, in my opinion, a little too restrained, because they're like, the United States and Ukraine don't respect these international laws. They're not playing a fair game. And I have something to say about the grain stuff in a minute, but like that, this is it. I mean, this is just ridiculous at this point. Like, just
Yeah.
say it. You're fighting Russia. Just like, this is this is a proxy war. We've been saying it's a proxy war, but this is more now than a proxy war. If you're talking about your US troops, British troops, NATO troops all fighting
Yeah.
via Ukraine would be nothing without these troops. Ukraine wouldn't have lasted this long. So it's ridiculous to think that this isn't like a direct attack on Russia.
I think you're gonna see some troops come forward, fam, and tell you, like, dude, we were just there to waste weaponry. Like, we were just doing stuff that we knew that wasn't gonna be effective
Yeah.
because, like you said, they're holding them up on puppet strings. And how can you even believe General Ryder? I mean, he's a liar, and they use little small words, not in particular, not to my knowledge, blah blah blah, all this stuff to just sidestep and red herring stuff because you've been conditioned, ladies and gentlemen. You've been conditioned for a long time through your schooling and your movies that it's a normalcy that there are regular military actions, not so much that they're big ones. Oh, they're just doing reconnaissance in the area. They're just providing support. They're just there to observe. They're just there to keep the peace. That no, we're going into a foreign country in the back door, the back stoop of the Russian Federation. We are in their backyard. And just because they say all these things and you're conditioned to think, well, it's just normal that the United States military has bases everywhere and they just move around. They're there in a war zone. They're there as an occupying foreign government. That's what it is. It's war. So we have to remove that conditioning that it's okay for them to be there, that it's okay for us because they're representing us. They're killing in the name of our country, right? It's us. It's at the end of the day. I think a lot of people can separate from what's going on. But when war gets heated and war gets hot, it's its citizens that will die. So it's just a shame that the conditioning is there, that they can say these things, and it's just accepted. With this press conference, fam, with this going on, if things should be flying off the charts. What do you mean there's American troops there? What do you mean they're on the ground? What do you mean now we're seeing video? What do you mean?
Yeah, and again, CBS, ABC News get this exclusive look at what they're doing, but they're only going to tell you a certain way. I mean, they use green screens, they don't show certain things. Mariupol right now is being rebuilt by Russia, and all they show is a destruction of these cities. They don't show that Russia is literally financing the rebuilding of these areas that were part of the greater Donbass region, that were part of the eastern Ukraine, and they're fixing it. So they're not showing you that, and everybody just thinks the Russians are there, killing civilians, and they think all these lies because they're not being shown it. So this is why I go on Twitter and I say, this is what's happening, this is the news. And then people get mad at me for literally saying the news. Like, it's not even my opinion. You can tell when it's my opinion when it's not. And I say as much, pretty much. And then, when I say Vladimir Putin said this, I'm literally telling you what he said. You can find it in a video if I don't post it. And people are like, why is she's just repeating what Putin says? Yes. so people can hear what he says, or you don't hear it. It's like common sense there. And so the fact is that this is a major escalation by the United States. Let's flip-flop it and imagine that Russia had troops, Iranian troops,
Mhm.
and Chinese troops literally in at the border with Mexico in
Or
the United
Canada.
States,
Either way, what do you want?
or Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, either one. That's the equivalent of what's going on. And they're trying to surround Russia by having Finland and Sweden join the NATO, and just like have these weapons on there. Because if I wanted to, as an American, what I can do now is I can go through Finland and then cross to Europe via Finland, because it's right there. And I would have to go to St. Petersburg first. I'm telling you this because so you understand how close the border is and how close that would mean, and how close these people are to Russia. And if I were Russia, if I were Putin is honestly has been very restrained, because Russia knows that the United States will escalate this quickly. This has happened before, they know. And now the US is saying that there is a reason to think Iran is going to go and attack, and they're once again manufacturing consent to go intervene in Iran. And if the protests are all just an excuse for it, we've interviewed 2 people telling you this. We might interview some more, but 2 people who know what the hell they're talking about. And like that's what it is. And again, Russia has a relationship with Israel. They're going to have to choose, I think, to a degree eventually, that where that goes, because Iran and Israel, are obviously in conflict right now. So there's that.
Fam, let's talk about the grain, because it's all about this grain now. This is some breaking news over here.
Right. So, okay. So this is what happened. Russia has said that they are willing to send 500,000 tons of its own grain to the poorest countries. It's its own grain, and Russia produces a lot more. And Vladimir Putin has been saying in like every other speech for months now, since this deal happened, that the grain is not getting to the poorest countries. So only about 3 to 4%. If you scroll down a little, I don't know if I think there's another bit.
I got
Only about 3 to 4% of the grain is actually getting to these poor countries. 35% is going to the EU. 34% is going to Europe, and the rest is going intermittently in other places. Why did Russia take itself out of this? Well, the attack on its drone, on its naval base in the Black Sea corridor, was literally done using their security zone. So that means that when these ships go through, there's no inspection. So Russia's like, what the hell? We had a deal. You guys did this, and they have enough intel to support and say British intelligence was involved with Ukraine in this and in Nord Stream pipelines, in both of them. And so they're saying, we can't allow this to continue because we have no assurances you're going to go in and blow another ship up. They were saying it could have been remote control, it was under the water, whatever the case may be. They have information that it is British intelligence that has done both of these things. So because they can't do that, they're saying, well, we're just going to make sure we send grain to the people that need it most. They have a relationship with Africa. I keep saying this. Lavrov was well received in Africa. Anthony Blinken was not. They literally called out Western imperialism. There's that relationship with decolonization that the Soviet Union had with Russia, with Africa. And so we have all this going on in the background, right? So the grain wasn't getting to where it needed to be. They had initially put out that deal using Turkey as the the kind of interval. Why? Because, well, they couldn't work anything out with the EU, so they used Turkey. But now what happened is President Putin described the damage done to the 2 Nord Stream pipelines as an obvious act of terrorism. So there's no, like, for them, for Russia right now, there's no if about it. Like, they consider it an act of terrorism, the Nord Stream pipeline. They consider that the act by Ukraine, even though Ukraine denies it, on the naval base, an act of complete and total disrespect of the deal they had. And they have told England, they told, well, the British Empire, the UK, they said, hey, you guys are responsible. And Britain came back and said, you are spreading false information on a massive scale. And they're completely denying it. But of course, there's that rumor, which so far it has not been confirmed. And Maria Zaharova, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the spokeswoman, said, I don't care how this information came out, if they hacked it or not. I just want an answer from Liz Truss. Did you say it's done now? Yeah. Did you send this out? Did you say it's done? We want to know. So that's where we're at here. Yeah. The reason I haven't spoken about that at length is because it's not confirmed yet. So I'm just telling you, was there a hack? If there was a hack, okay, great. We need an answer, and that's where it's at right now.
Yes. That's something I was going to talk to you. And just to provide a little context, Fam was talking about this the other day, just before I got the tweets mixed up. But the Black Sea Grain Initiative, according to the Russian Defense Ministry, this is the UN and Turkey ensured Moscow received with written guarantees from Kiev not to use the grain corridor for content operations against Russia. But
this just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this just happened after they said we're going to send grain to Africa. After they said, they're accusing the UK of involvement in 2 things. They're accusing the UK of involvement in the drone attack on the naval base in Sevastopol in the area of Crimea, and they're accusing the UK involved in the Nord Stream pipelines, which is that's a huge thing that they consider terrorism. So this is, they're saying, okay, we're going to resume participation in this Black Sea Grain Initiative. And they came out with this. And I have mixed feelings about this. I'll let Pasta talk for a second, but I have mixed feelings about this because they said the UN and Turkey have assured Moscow that Ukraine will not attack them. So they're saying, okay, we're going to take this. We're going to do what we were going to do anyway. But we're going to reopen this. So for me, I don't trust them. I don't trust any assurance from the West. They don't play fair. This is in one of those instances where I think Russia, and this is a criticism a lot of us have about Russia, they put diplomacy and they're too nice sometimes. And this is like something because they don't know how to like be like the United States. And this is why I get so mad when people compare the NATO with the Russia in the same equivalent, because like they literally are trusting this agreement. To me, it's a little bit like, guys, they literally bombed your naval base. Like, come on, what assurances are you getting? Maybe we don't know the whole story. I don't know. A lot of people, fam, right here, a lot of us are not liking this. We're like,
yeah, no, I get it. When both sides agree to de-escalate, then it's de-escalation. When only one side agrees to de-escalate, it's called surrender. And I don't think that Russia is going to be up for surrendering anymore, and that's what they'll simply do. They tried to work those Minsk Accords for years, but just thinking about everything we're talking about, and this is the product of it, what you're going to have right over here is what is now Ukraine and the average Ukrainian. Well, they're pretty much a slave state to the United States. They're just being used completely as a proxy. Their culture, their life, their families, all destroyed for what? For what? So that you can be a proxy of the United States. And at the end of the day, I really do feel for the majority of Ukrainians, even some of the majority of the Ukrainians who probably don't like Russia's or didn't want to be close with Russia. I'm sure they still didn't want this to happen. And that's a complete proxy of the United States as a military depot. And before with this all-out engagement and this all-out military action that's taking place, in which Putin has pretty much said from that tweet the other day, yeah, we did that, and guess what? We can do more. It just makes you want to cry because I'm pretty sure they didn't want what's happening now, and now there's no choice, and people have to realize this. The only way this war continues if NATO troops come in. So what's going on now? This thing can escalate way out of control. Good, fam.
Yeah, and by the way, I want to clarify, I'm not saying I want Russia to become the United States, but I am saying that it seems like them being too trusting that the UN is pretty much at the behest of the EU
Yeah.
and NATO at this point. Okay, let's be real. So they're trusting that the UN is going to protect them, and obviously Turkey is neutral and has been in some ways a good ally to Russia, but they're also Erdogan is also a guy that goes where the wind is going to take him.
Yeah.
So he's not somebody that you can trust. But Putin just said, well, Erdogan has been a man of his word. So, okay, so they trust Turkey. But again, like if Ukraine and the United States or the British intelligence, like who's involved in, they're denying all this, want to do something else, they're going to do it. And
Yeah.
I think at that point, Russia wouldn't have, wouldn't go back to anything. But it's just a little bit like a lot of us here who like understand a lot, what's going on. We're just like, this is a little bit too trusting of the situation. It's not that we want things to escalate. It's just they don't play a fair game, and we know this. So that's why it's a little wary. And Pasta's right. I mean, look, this is like Ukraine right now. It's completely dark at night
Yeah.
after missile attacks to key infrastructures, and 40% of vital infrastructure has been damaged. And this is according to Zelensky. So a lot of people there are lacking water. They're lacking water. They're lacking energy. So they were going to put out generators to try to get some heat. It's cold now here. It's like 0 Celsius, which is like 30 degrees. And so this is what they're facing. And this didn't have to be this way. And Russia didn't want to go this way. When Putin said we could do more, he's saying we are holding back. Like we this could have been done a while ago. And so, it's just kind of like that. Like and by the way, and we kind of sort of talked about this on RBN, this is like a regular day in the US. Like the US has done this and worse. And for resource extraction, not for actually any sort of like, okay, we're doing this because now we have an existential fight and we're the victims of this, or we're in some form of another fighting for. No, this is like we're going to extract resources. And if you want to criticize Russia on this, I understand. It is war, and war is ugly, and war is nasty, and that is this. But as Ava pointed out, something really important, she said, this is what the people of Donbass have been experiencing for almost 9 years. Literally. Yeah. She showed pictures. We talked about it where when she went back recently.
They had it worse, fam, because they were firing on civilian places. Russia's just knocking out their infrastructure. I guarantee you there's a lot less deaths in what Putin and the Russian Federation are doing to Ukraine than what the Ukrainians did after 2014, armed fucking Nazis to the people of the Donbass. I will guarantee it. One was a terror tactic. Another one is like, we're just going to knock out your infrastructure, dog.
No, yeah, and that's true. And, she said this too, like when she went recently, you have to go collect water because there's no water in Donbass. You have to go and collect water. If you stay at a hotel that doesn't have water, and even those hotels where a lot of journalists stay don't always have water. She stayed away. And so she was saying, I collect this water, and then you take showers like that. This is a reality of people in the Donbass for the last 9 years. They've been dealing with the shelling, as you saw, constantly. The shelling, as Pasta just said, on civilian infrastructure. They've been dealing with a lack of just any sort of like internet, chaotic energy, all of this stuff. The same stuff that Ukraine is dealing with right now is what they've been dealing with for 9 years. So it's not like a lot of us relish in this, that this has happened. I don't think anybody is relishing in this. It's just, and yes, we have empathy for the people of Ukraine that are stuck in this situation.
Yeah.
But let's not forget that this is being brought on by Zelensky, by the United States, by NATO, by the EU. They're using these people as cannon fodder, okay, for their political goals. And that's the reality. That's the truth. And this is like, if they want to stop this, they go home, stay out, and let the resolution happen. These realistic resolutions that are equitable, not some bullshit where it's like Russia gives back everything, that all these territories that want to be a part of Russia. That's not going to work, guys. That's just not going to work.
Happen anymore. We're way past that point. And fam, this is the last part over here, because we want to get on to the next section. Guys, now's the time. Get over to Rockfin at 10 minutes past the hour. We have our guest coming on. It's going to be a Rockfin only. Dr. Ryan Cole, OG, will be on. I love Dr. Ryan Cole, one of my favorite doctors, just a great guy. Got to meet him at both Defeat the Mandates. He will be on. It will be a Rockfin only because, fam, can't talk that COVID stuff over here on YouTube. What do you got over here? And then we'll read some super rays and do one small, quick section.
Yeah. So this is a kind of related to this because we're talking about the geopolitical implications with Russia and Iran right now. So there was a very important meeting, historic, between Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and Colombian President Gustavo Petro. And this happened on Tuesday in Caracas. And Colombia, as to remind everybody, is a NATO partner of the United States, okay? And Venezuela is an ally to Russia and Iran. So I think this is a step in the right direction towards multipolarity away from the West. However, there is still that pull from the United States on Colombia. We know this. We know that governments like Colombia and Brazil aren't just going to go overnight and get rid of all those tentacles that the U.S. has. We know that Petro and Lula are, center left. They're not revolutionaries.
Compromise candidates.
Yeah, they are. And but in Latin America, things operate differently, right? And like it's a little bit different that these people just want a chance to have some sort of stability after having these destabilized governments, of course, destabilized by the United States. This is what people need to understand. We look at it differently, not because we want to, not criticize Lula or Petro, but because when you go there and you see what the people are going through, you look at things differently than just the geopolitical aspects of this and that and that. And, I'm going to do a thread on Lula because there's so much shit going on with that. But we're not going to have time to cover it now, but we'll cover it on Friday. Right. And let's go ahead and
we'll also cover the Biden story on Friday. Fam, let me give you a little something for that last statement. Hooah! Hooah! Fam, why don't you do us a favor real quick if you can? Guys, we're also going to be on Rumble too. So this will be on Rumble as well. Rockfin and Rumble. I just put the Rumble link inside the chat. Fam, if you want to post up a few of those comments, can you see them and post them up while I read the Super Rays?
Yes.
People can see what they're doing over there on the YouTubes. Game.film. Thank you very much for the Super Ray contribution. It is always appreciated on the house. On the couch, in the house. I said, fam, what's wrong with me? And thank you so much, Game.film, for always hanging out on our Rockfin section. It's so important, guys. There's no advertisement going on. There's just straight up truth telling. If we want free speech platforms, that's what Rockfin is to us. We also new to Rumble. I put that Rumble chat there, the link in the chat as well. Lucky and Jilly Love are moderators hanging out. Thank you so much. And also, fam, we got a tip from guess who, fam?
Amers.
Ooh, close. Get another guess.
Aram.
Yeah, Aram combo.
One of the A's.
Aram, Amers, amen. Combo Couch rocks. Independent media is the place to be. Thank you so much. Yeah, I've been having an amazing week, guys. I feel like Fiorella. I'm going on all these shows. I was on Jimmy Dore the other day talking about Brazil, talking about lubed up hammers, excuse me, with Kurt Metzger and Jimmy Dore. That was fun. As well as Brazil, the elections, gave my opinions there. I was on the Hill on Tuesday morning, and I had to once again say, fam, I said this when I was on the Hill 4 weeks ago, when they played the video from Bernie Sanders. We are not going to accept the military coup. We will fight back. Bolsonaro better watch his place. And they're like, what do you think? Is this going to happen? And a lot of the leftist media out there, the leftist independent media, referring to J6 as the insurrection and saying they're going to have that same type of thing. Bolsonaro is going to call the military. And I said, no, he's not. It's just hype. It's just the media doing stuff. This is elitist talking points that keep us divided with each other. My firm belief is that if he loses, and he will lose, but in a tight race, me and Fam both said this. We both said it's going to go to the second round. We said it's going to be a tight race, and it's a lot tighter than people think it's going to be. And I think we need to ask those questions. Why? Right? It's not, we can't just gloss it off as, oh, they're just a bunch of racists and they don't like the communists. We know that shit is there, but there's got to be other reasons for you to get 58 million votes. We should be asking those questions. So we said it would go to a second round. It will be a tight race. And I said on the Hill a month ago, you can go back and see it. And I said it the morning of, he's going to concede. Now, he didn't say the words Lula and concede, but he just said he's going to follow the Constitution, whatnot. And then one of his personnel, almost like his strategist, came on and said he has already talked to the transition team and they are making the moves to transition the government. Yeah. So a lot of you guys played up, and I'm talking this point right here, and I've been freaking yelling at conservative media. I had to convince a lot of people at this election event that what took place is more than likely a clean, fair election. I said I'll give it a B- because of the DRE system, but all the other securities are in place: IDs, place to vote, same day where it's cast, it's count, public count, all that stuff, and it's a system that Bolsonaro won under, right? And but all these other people, and I told all these conservatives to stop, that if you're going to believe in national sovereignty and fair elections, then believe in national sovereignty and fair elections when they happen in Brazil. Don't try to make
when somebody you don't like wins.
Yes,
right.
You can't do that.
Just because you can't do that. That's my issue with some of the right. It goes with free speech and elections. They don't like it when the other team wins. It's like, well, then we can't have democracy then.
Well, they've also been lied to and they've been misled. InfoWars, very irresponsible on this. Steve Bannon group, I think very irresponsible. I'd like to go on any of these shows and talk about what I've seen and what happened. And yes, you can say that we don't know for sure because it's a DRE machine. You're right. I will never fully endorse a DRE, but I would take this system 10 days and twice on Sundays, okay, over what we have in America. All the securities in place except for one area. All the securities are in place in Colombia except for one area. We're talking a multitude of shit in the United States and what happened. You can't make those comparisons. But on the left, to hype that this stuff that Bolsonaro is a neo-fascist that's not going to leave office, I'm saying all these buzzwords, and I get it, far right, far left. And
his supporters, though, are currently not wanting to leave. They're currently trying. But you'll see this in the media, and I had to talk it down. Like, it's not that as many people as it seems. They're just mad. It's
emotional.
The police are literally stopping this. It's not, they're trying to call on the military to intervene.
Of course,
could it happen? It could have, but they don't have the support. Every major country leader has recognized Lula. It's not going to happen. And they don't have any legitimacy. There's zero, like, literally, there's no, people naming Dominion, naming it's rigged. Like, guys, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. It wasn't rigged. If it was rigged, we would tell you. We're telling you this is a different election than the one in the United States. The one in the United States, I can't tell you what happened because we can't look into the elections. I can tell you that what the dumps that happened, because there were dumps, were completely, something to look at. And I have to be careful because we're on YouTube.
Fair, that gets a strike right there. So, but you're right. And here's the thing. I believe the people who are emotional, they're emotional and they're causing some stuff, and there will be a little damage caused and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like Bolsonaro said it, and all these just like Donald Trump said it. We're the party of law and order. You know what I'm saying? And he says, Bolsonaro says, we don't do this. This is left-wing tactics.
Yeah.
They're gonna go back. They're gonna be fine. Though they're a little emotional right now. I guarantee if we were on the ground interviewing a lot of people in Brazil, they would be for the government switching on over. Fam, that's going to be the last section of the day. Do you want to tell everybody what's going on real quick before I bring in the guest? And guys, we're going to go to Rumble and Rockfin only with Dr. Cole. He will be with us shortly.
Yeah, I gotta go. I have to attend to my other stuff. So Pasta will take on over here, but I'll see you guys Friday. Maybe I'll do something tomorrow if I get a chance, like a fee video. So look out for that.
Yeah, you should talk about Obama getting heckled, and Cory Booker just got stung somewhere. So you should maybe talk about that tomorrow if you can. I might do an election show. We have a lot of things going on. Just make this one quick announcement, fam, for Terry, so that people can know.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. So one quick announcement, guys. So you guys look out for this tomorrow. Way after our show, but let me pull it up real quick. So we are going to allow and have this sort of partnership in a way with our good friend Terry Matson. WTF? What the F is going on in Latin America and the Caribbean moved from Code Pink, and they are going to be featured pretty much on popularresistance.org. Okay, and so that's who their main partner is. Code Pink is just going to be I don't know what she called it, but this is what she said. WTF is going on in Latin America and the Caribbean is a popular resistance broadcast in partnership. There you go, with Code Pink, with several Friends of Latin America and several other organizations. So we're just like allowing the program to run on our channel. We trust Terry. She basically is going to bring in like guests to talk about the things that are going on in South America, and she's going to have tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Pacific, 7:30 Eastern. Brazil, what's his name? Michael Fox talking about Brazil's Lula da Silva. So there's going to be more information on Lula, and you'll get to hear that perspective. A victory of an immense democratic movement. And he is the independent journalist and podcast host of Brazil on Fire. So he's going to talk about that from that perspective. I'll watch it because I want to hear what he says and how we view it. So that's just the announcement. It's going to be on at 7 p.m. Eastern. So look out for it. And that's all I wanted to say.
Fam, you have a great shift tonight. I'm going to bring in our guest. Thank you so much, guys. Get over to Rockfin. We're going to be leaving YouTube. Thank you, Fee. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to the stage, I always like to say that this is one of my favorite guys out there when it came to the whole COVID narrative. But before we do that, I have to ask you guys to leave YouTube right now. I put the links in the chat. You can either go to Rockfin or Rumble. We always like Rockfin. That's our ad-free, not sponsored by Pfizer platform. So if you can do that now, we're going to get on out of here. And let me just get this out right now. And we're leaving in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go on over to Rockfin. Dr. Cole will be with us. The Convo Couch out.